The Russian Revolution of 1917 was a pivotal event in world history, leading to the collapse of the centuries-old Russian Empire and the rise of the Soviet Union. This revolution consisted of two main events: the February Revolution, which ended Tsarist rule, and the October Revolution, in which the Bolsheviks seized power. It marked the beginning of a new political era in Russia and the spread of communist ideology across the globe. Background: Russia in crisis. At the beginning of the 20th century, Russia was facing multiple crises. The country was still ruled by Tsar Nicholas, an autocratic monarch, but his government was increasingly unpopular. The effects of industrialization had led to poor working conditions and widespread poverty, especially in urban areas. Additionally, Russia's involvement in World War I further strained the economy, causing food shortages, inflation, and mounting military losses. These conditions created an environment ripe for revolution. The February Revolution. By early 1917, discontent in Russia had reached a boiling point. In February, mass protests erupted in the capital, Petrograd, modern-day St. Petersburg, with demonstrators demanding food, an end to the war, and political reform. The unrest quickly spread, and the Tsar's authority collapsed as soldiers and workers joined the protests. On March 2, 1917, Tsar Nicholas I was forced to abdicate the throne, ending over 300 years of Romanov rule. A provisional government was established to lead the country, but it faced immediate challenges in stabilizing Russia. The provisional government and continued unrest. The provisional government, led by Alexander Kerensky, attempted to implement democratic reforms, but it struggled to maintain order. It made the unpopular decision to continue fighting in World War II, which deepened dissatisfaction among the war-weary population. At the same time, radical political groups, including the Bolsheviks, gained influence by promising peace, land, and bread. The provisional government's inability to address the critical issues of the time set the stage for a second revolution later that year. The October Revolution. In October 1917, the Bolsheviks, a socialist group led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in what became known as the October Revolution. The Bolsheviks, supported by workers and soldiers, launched a nearly bloodless coup against the provisional government. By October 25, Julian calendar, the Bolsheviks had taken control of key government buildings in Petrograd, including the Winter Palace, where the provisional government was based. Lenin and the Bolsheviks quickly declared a new government based on socialist principles with the goal of creating a communist society. The Civil War and the establishment of the Soviet Union. Following the October Revolution, Russia descended into a brutal civil war between the Bolshevik Red Army and the anti-Bolshevik White Army, which included monarchists, liberals, and other political factions. The Civil War lasted from 1917 to 1923 and resulted in millions of deaths due to fighting, famine, and disease. In the end, the Bolsheviks emerged victorious, solidifying their control over Russia. In 1922, the Bolsheviks established the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, marking the beginning of a communist regime that would last for over 7 decades. Long-term consequences. The Russian Revolution had profound and far-reaching consequences. It led to the establishment of the world's first socialist state and inspired communist movements worldwide. The rise of the Soviet Union reshaped global politics, contributing to the ideological battle between communism and capitalism that defined much of the 20th century. Domestically, the revolution resulted in significant social and economic changes, including land redistribution, state control of industries, and the elimination of the aristocracy. The Russian Revolution of 1917 was a watershed moment in modern history. It ended centuries of imperial rule, gave rise to the Soviet Union, and laid the groundwork for major political and social changes that would shape the 20th century. The revolution's legacy continues to influence global politics and ideologies, making it one of the most significant events of the modern era.